I love how you have reframed self-doubt into a positive and into a curiosity tool, because there's so much negativity around self-doubt, because it can make us feel like shit and it can cause us to doubt ourselves. But there is also so much valuable information stored in our self-doubt that can really be positive and help us to explore and to grow. And also, you know, I very much work on the terms of being 95% okay. But I think with that 5% window, that allows you to have wobbles, but also to feel safe when you expand and grow. Because the reality is, every time we evolve, we are naturally evolving processes. We're going to be doing something that we've never done before. And so instead of judging ourselves or feeling nervous about it, it's accepting that that's a natural process. And that 5% window allows you to do that without taking you on that journey of, oh no, here we go again, I've been hit before, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. But it just allows you to have that flexibility. And I think it's really, really important to kind of work with that overview of 9 to 5, managing it 5% not, but really looking at what is going on, what are the stories, what's the information that you've been hiding, but actually is the key to unlocking your next level of happiness or your next level of success. Did you find that? Were there lots of unlocking moments for you?
Oh, absolutely. And I find that as I dove deeper into the process, as I got to know my different parts more, it really helped with what you were just saying about authenticity. And the more I realized that in myself, the more I realized the same thing is happening with my clients. So this is now a conversation I can have, whether it's in regard to something in the context of life coaching or whether it's in the context of physical healing. It doesn't matter, because it still has an effect on you, right? Like these things are still having an effect on your body. But it does often come back to that vulnerability piece, because like you said, we don't want to be vulnerable. That's terrifying. That is inherent risk in becoming vulnerable. So I've discovered that as I went through my own process, that vulnerability piece, like, it's always going to be there and it's still there. But I find I have more courage to jump off into the vulnerability, knowing that I'm going to be okay on the other side. Because there's definitely a time in my life where I hit a massive depression, and I think it lasted a couple of years. Like, it was the longest bout of depression I've ever had, and it was very much that, what you were just saying about that 95% okay. Like, it was definitely not 95%. I'm just like, if I can get out of bed today, we're doing good. I look at my apartment and I'm just like, I feel like I'm living in a pigsty, but also I have no energy to clean. So eventually got to a point where I'm like, no, you know what? We're going to do something. We're going to wash one plate and that's okay. Right. And then you go the next day. It's like, cool. Okay. We did one plate, and maybe we can make a choice now. Do we keep washing the dishes, one more plate, or are we going to go back and lie on the couch? And regardless of what I choose, it's okay.
Love that.
I think that was the first time that I explored any of this, mental health care for myself. And now, fast forwarding 10 years, I definitely agree with what you just said about that 95%, because you're never going to be perfect. Then there's always going to be that risk. And I think the key point that I've had to learn is that that's okay, right? To give myself that permission to mess up, to give myself permission to be vulnerable and have it go bad, because sometimes it will, and that's okay. Like, it's not a reflection of who I am as a person. It's not a reflection of my skills or, anything about me. It's
life.
That's just life. It just happens.
Well, that's it. And I think, again, we put so much pressure on ourselves. And I did. And I remember my husband, and he didn't mean it in any way negative, but he would say, oh, Em, I thought you'd overcome this. I thought, we'd moved past from this or whatever. And then you would just feel this pressure of like, oh shit, am I letting him down? Like, I thought I'd overcome it, because you want to show the world that you're fixed in some capacity. What does that even mean? Like, who's ever fixed? No one is, like it. But I remember going and having a healing session, and during that session just realizing the pressure that I had been putting myself under for so long to be this perfect person, this representation that I've moved on from my past and it doesn't bother me at all. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I didn't realize how draining it was until I realized what I was doing. I remember coming home and crying almost with relief and just hugging my husband and just saying, look, you know, I'm 95% okay. And actually, I think that's fucking awesome. Like, to go from where I've been to where I am right now, I think that's fucking awesome. And I'm really proud of myself. But I'm going to stop striving to being perfect because it's bullshit and it doesn't exist. And all it is doing is putting immense pressure on me to be this person that I'm not, and then feeling like a failure when I'm not. And it was an absolute revelation. And I think, you know, with self-doubt, it's always there. It's always there in the background. I was having a chat just a minute ago with someone, and he said, do you think everyone has self-doubt then? I said, yeah, I do. 100%. I think I've not met anyone that hasn't at some point. The difference is you can learn how to manage it so it doesn't feature for the world to see on a regular basis. It might feature in your mind on a daily basis, but you've got coping mechanisms to pull it back. So it's just a little blip rather than a right downhill turn for the worst. But it's always there, but it's being 95% okay with it. And like, again, having that little flexibility, like we're saying, and it's such a game changer, I think, for so many people, but my God, certainly for me, to recognize that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it's huge.
It is huge, because the pressure that we put on ourselves, whether you're in the thick of it, whether you're coming out the other side, or whether you're just in day-to-day life, is immense. And society puts so much pressure on us as well to lead this perfect life. You look on social media and you see all these people doing perfect things, and it's like, oh my God, they've still got their shit together. And what you don't realize is they were crying 10 minutes before, or, you know, their kid had just puked on them or something straight after that photo was taken, or whatever. You know, we see this highlight reel of other people's lives, and yet we feel this pressure to be like them. And the reality is that no one has got their shit together 100% of the time. I'm sorry if you're sat there thinking, well, I can do. I don't think you do. Prove me wrong. I'd love for someone to prove me wrong, but no one does, because it's just an impossible task.
My first thought when I hear that is, okay, so what part of you is saying that you've got your life together?
Yeah, exactly.
What's being protected right now?
Yeah. What you scared to see and what you're running from.
Well, it's very true. Like, I look at it as just like, this is the human experience. We're here for the ride. No one's coming out the other side alive. Like, just live. Like, and that's the other thing that I saw a lot of this year specifically was people not living. Like, we're alive, but we're not living. And if you're not stepping through with that, like, authenticity and really embracing yourself for who you are, not who society or your parents or your church or your social circles or your school has decided that this is what you should want, this is who you should be, this is how you should act, to actually like live the way you want to live, the way that lights you up. People don't do that.